WrestleMania has somehow become Messelmania because it is a mess within WWE, and it's not just the reasons you may think. From Vincent Kennedy to injuries, Paul Levesque McMahon is overwhelmed, to say the least. We'll go over it in this upload. Before we get to that, there's some other stories I want to kind of get to quick. Some rapid fire stories, starting with Charlotte Flair. Charlie Flair. You guys remember just a few weeks ago, I told you guys the word going around was Charlie Flair's trying to make it to WrestleMania. Not to have a match. I don't know if any doctor would ever sign off on that. With her injury and that short of a recovery period. But Charlie Flair wanted to do something at Mania. Like, that's a goal. We call it the Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary, right? Rodgers gets that Achilles tear, and he's talking about returning that season. Even got activated back to practice. Everyone's like, is this dude really going to try this? Aaron Rodgers trying to defy the odds. Charlie Flair wanted to rehab and wanted to get back as quick as possible. Wanted to be in that ring for WrestleMania. Again, I doubt that would be wrestling. Again, I just don't know anybody that would sign off on it. But she wanted to be a part of Mania, in that ring, doing something with other talent. Well, if you ever doubted that, if you guys are checking out the pics and the posts and the clips that she is putting up, her workout regimen, her rehab, she is doing things that most able-bodied people in sports are not even doing. To say that her rehab is going better than according to as planned, it would be an understatement. It is absolutely, she is thriving, not just surviving in this rehab. She is absolutely crushing it, not just enduring it. Charlie Flair she has a goal. She has a purpose. Everything she's doing, everything she is showing you in this rehab, this isn't just, I'm kind of in a zone. I'm kind of, it's momentum. I'm just getting up every day doing what I got to do. This is another 2-3 levels. This is her with a goal in mind. I will say it again, the same thing I was hearing weeks ago, right after her injury. And that word was going around the NXT Performance Center that this is what they were hearing. Charlie has a Hail Mary rehab recovery time frame that she wants to hit. I'm going to say the same thing now because I'm still hearing the same damn thing. And now I'm seeing it from Charlie Flair. Do not be shocked if Charlie Flair is doing something big at WrestleMania. I don't know. When we talked about it a few weeks ago, we were joking, right? Is she going to hobble down that long entranceway, a 10-minute Undertaker entrance? She's hobbling along. Maybe she comes down on one of those medical scooters. Maybe she's wheeling herself down in a wheelchair. Who knows? She gets in there, starts whacking people with a crutch. But now this Charlie Flair, I don't think she's hobbling anywhere come WrestleMania. She'd probably do the Ric Flair Nature Boy strut down the aisle. Again, I doubt very much she's having a wrestling match. But she could be doing something, man. Charlie Flair wants to be a part of this show big time. And the way she is rehabbing, do not be shocked if her music plays. Could you imagine if they just came up with an impromptu title shot? She comes down, hits a couple 2-3 moves, and becomes champion of the world. You laugh. We've seen it so many times in pro wrestling, man, where a wrestler comes down, hits a couple of moves, and they become champion. WrestleMania 9, Hulk Hogan. Now, he had a match earlier in the night with Brutus Beefcake in a tag team against, I believe it was Money Incorporated. But Hogan came down after Yokozuna defeated Bret Hart. And Hogan hit a couple of moves, including the leg drop. Man, that was it. He won the championship. They could have Charlie Flair, but they don't have to clear her fully. You come down, you hit a couple moves, and that's it, man. That's it. Lights out. Charlie becomes the 87-time champion. Again, I doubt a match is going to happen, but we were hearing that was her goal. immediately after she got injured, she still wants to make that strut down the aisle. She still wants to be a part of Mania in some capacity, elevating a storyline or character development, something. She wants to be a part. Everything I'm seeing now, this is not just somebody just going through the motions of rehab and trying to get back in 7, 8, 9 months. This is somebody who's got a goal, and it looks a lot sooner than later. Full transparency, too, while BC has never been the biggest Charlie Flair supporter, you never want to see these wrestlers go down. And when they do, you really do hope for a speedy recovery. Not too speedy, because you want them fully rehabbed, ready to rock when they come back. The one thing we will ask, a lot of us, BC included, from WWE, is to use this time off. To get a game plan together. Charlie Flair, Triple H, the 617 creative writers. Get a game plan as to what it's going to take to get the other half of the audience that has never had that connection with Charlie Flair. Bring us on board. Because the company's going to put her in that position anyway, right? She's going to continue to be on all the side of the trailer trucks. She's going to be on all the promos. She's going to be on all the interweb machine material, the TV ads. She's going to be up there with the Romans and a select few others. She's going to come back. She's going to immediately be inserted into championship matches. She's going to win championships. We get it. Can you come up with a way, after 8+ years of Charlie Flair in the main roster, can you come up with a way to get the other half of the audience that doesn't feel that connection? Can you bring us on board somehow? That's all we're asking. Get creative. We want to see Ashley Flair crush it, because we want to be engaged with the Charlie Flair character, Charlotte Flair. But give us a chance to. It's just the same thing nonstop. In fact, now when she comes back, she's a face or a heel depending on the crowd reaction. If she's a face and that particular crowd starts booing her, she'll go into a heel promo. And I'm like, no, you can't. What are you doing? So you never know what she is. I really think that she's confused, and that's a self-esteem thing. That is a confidence issue. And that's what I mean. People have to, with Ric Flair as your father and with Papa H, Triple H right there, you got so much guidance there. These talks should already have been had. But that's a lack of confidence and self-esteem, and she just switches. She kind of rides the tide for every crowd. You have to stick to something. And only then, when you truly believe in what you are and what you're doing, then and only then, the entire audience can go on that journey with you. But if you don't believe in yourself and what you're doing, a lot of other people are not going to believe it either. They're going to see right through it. They're going to see that you don't believe it. They're going to see that you are trying too hard to be a good guy. Or that you're just too wishy-washy. You're just going on a wave with whatever crowd reaction is given you, but you're not staying true to what you're doing. Hopefully that makes sense. I mean, you've seen a lot of wrestlers over the decades just not truly know what they are. And it's unfortunate, but Charlie has always been one of those individuals. She has to come back with the utmost of confidence, know what this character trajectory is, no matter what the crowd is doing. If you believe in yourself and you're putting out the best work imaginable, creatively and your due diligence, the crowd will go along for the ride. They may cheer, they may boo. They're going to make noise because they care. They ain't just going to enjoy what you're doing. They're going to be captivated by what you're doing. This is valuable time off. It sucks you're injured and you got to work triple, quadruple time to rehab and get back in the time frame that she wants to get back in, by the way, which is honorable, admirable, and commendable. But regardless of all of it, you still have to put in the work in every other area. This is valuable time to do it. It sucks that you're injured, but use this time wisely. Not just physically to get ready to come back. Mentally, what can I do to be even better and connect better? How can I work with Levesque McMahon and the writers? Can I go to my father and ask for XYZ advice? But there's got to be more to Charlie Flair than just doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Because when she comes back, You'll get the initial pop, right? All the families and all the kids. It's Charlie! In a few weeks, she's announcing a title match, or she's announced in a title match, and she's probably winning it within a month or two. Lately, she comes back and she wins it on the very first night. It's happened. So we're asking for a little different. Thank you. Sincerely, a lot of us fans. But we wish her the best. We really do, man. And again, so badass. To see this rehab. She's not just going through the motions and doing what she has to do. She's going above and beyond and doing more than she has to do. Pretty cool. What do we want to talk about next? We'll go Okada. Let's talk a little Okada. A few weeks ago, I think it was, we put up an upload. Reports were saying Okada was WWE bound. So we talked about it. But it was in that upload, we kind of flip-flopped the discussion, right? During the upload, that was supposed to be Okada is WWE bound, we kind of had an epiphany. Wouldn't he fit better in AEW? He'd be more comfortable there because he's worked with them. AEW has worked with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okada specifically has worked with Tony Khan in AEW. Wouldn't that make the most sense? Tony Khan is already saying he's offering a lot of money to get Okada. And all of a sudden, he's going to go to WWE, when WWE wouldn't really utilize him to the measures that a lot of people would think Okada would want to be used to, right? I mean, that's more for the niche audience of AEW, right? All the dream matches in the world, Okada and just about everybody in AEW, right? And that fan base will say, dream match, dream match, dream match. Oh, AEW's on top of the world, right? And that's cool. In WWE, how far would Paul Levesque McMahon take him, right? Because you can look as far as like Shinsuke Nakamura or Asuka. All the Japanese talent, they can get so far, they can see the mountaintop. But whether it's Vincent Kennedy or Paul Levesque McMahon, they never bring them to the mountaintop. They can win a Royal Rumble, but they ain't winning the big one at WrestleMania, right? I think it was the same year. Shinsuke won the Rumble. He did not finish his story at all at WrestleMania. Asuka went into her WrestleMania match undefeated, going for that title. The crowd really behind her, and they had her lose. That was actually Charlotte Flair that beat her, of all people. And Asuka was never the same since. They can win championships even, but they only get so far, right? It's either transitional purposes to get that championship or just to elevate somebody else, like Asuka. Again, she wins the Raw Women's Championship. Charlotte comes back from a vacation or injury, whichever it was. They put Charlotte in a tag team with Asuka, even though Asuka was the Raw Women's Champion. And then eventually, not long after, Charlotte was hoisting up that championship. The point is, guys, you can go through a lot of Japanese talents over the years that have gotten a little bit of yards, but they still were never able to score the touchdown, right? 10 yards here, they gained 20 yards here, but they were never able to put the ball in the end zone. Is Okada the guy? Do you see Okada winning the Royal Rumble? Not that he can't, I'm saying booking-wise. That's what I'm asking, booking-wise. Even if you say, well, with Vince, no, BC. But with Levesque, I do think so, BC. Maybe. So let me ask the question. Do you see Okada, after all of the faces we now have an influx of? Randy Orton, when CM Punk comes back. Cody Rhodes. Sethington Rollins. The Sami Zayns. The Kevin Owenses. All of these individuals all fit. LA Knight. Did I even say LA Knight? They're influx, right? Jey Uso's hot right now. Okada comes in, wins the Rumble, and he defeats whoever is champion at WrestleMania. He's in the main event of Mania. He's hoisting up the championship. Okada is the one to capture the imagination of all the casual fans, not just the diehard fans. Not just the tried and trues, not that niche that wants to see Okada in all these dream matches, which again is why we say he most likely is better suited for AEW. So you can do all these cool matches. We can label them dream matches. We can yell, this is awesome. We can give him 6 or 7 stars. And Okada's happy. His wallet is fat. Tony Khan's getting to see dream matches. The niche audience is fulfilled. But in WWE, I just don't see that type of booking for Okada. I see good booking. I see some big pay-per-view matches. I see a couple of title reigns. World title, probably not. Maybe a US, an IC. I see good things. Okada's amazing. And HHH knows that he's got to book him above average for sure. But if he goes to WWE and they offer him a lot of money, you know damn well it's just a game of keep away, right? We know he's a good talent. We know how bad Tony wants him. We should just grab him. We'll book him good. But I just don't see, even if for a month or two, he's their flavor of the month or two, I see not long after it just going off the rails, and he's just going to be another person on that roster. You see it with guys like AJ Styles, still to this day one of the best wrestlers in the world. You see how easily he could be lost in the shuffle, though. The last 2 years he's been. Time off from the injury, came back. He's already the one eating all these L's. I told you guys going into the Fatal 4-Way at Rumble, there was only one dude taking that L. It's the what's the best way to put it? Which is not good. You hate to say it, but he's the most expendable. Right? It's sad to say, but AJ Styles, LA Knight can't lose that match. Randy Orton cannot lose that match. There ain't no way Roman was losing that match. AJ Styles, unfortunately, has been so irrelevant for several years that the fans even look at those four and say, well, AJ can take the loss. No big deal. It won't matter. It's not going to hurt AJ. He's still a good wrestler who will make us yell, "This is awesome." But you knew LA Knight can't, right? He's too big right now. He's selling all this merchandise. Got to protect him a little bit more. Why? Because you're hoping big things are in the future. Randy Orton for sure ain't taking that L. Company would never let Roman take that L. AJ Styles. So if you think they won't do that to Okada, look what they've done to Shinsuke for years. And Paul Levesque McMahon's been head of creative fully for months now. He's put him in a storyline with Cody that was settled on a couple of Monday Night Raws. Other than that, HHH knows that there's only so much he's willing to do with Shinsuke right now. There's so many other stars and other things that have to be done. He wants to utilize Shinsuke, but it's not a priority. If you think Okada is going to remain a priority in WWE, I just don't see it, guys. It'll be cool to have him. I absolutely am captivated by his work. But, yeah, you'd be better situated in AEW right now. Perhaps he could do a lot more. And again, that fan base will absolutely goo-goo and gaga over everything he does. No more so than the owner of the company, Tony Khan. I mean, he just wants to sit back with popcorn and watch all of Okada's matches. I don't think HHH is going to really just drool over Okada's matches. So it's interesting. The whole point is that's an interesting discussion, right? Where would he fit better? Who would book him better? Okada at this time and point in his career. And on top of that, the initial report that he was WWE bound, which was a few weeks ago, the new report, he's AEW bound. Did I even say that? We had the discussion for 7 or 8 minutes. I don't even know if I said the big news is he's more AEW bound now. It's flipped. Tony Khan offered a boatload of money. He had talks with WWE, but nothing was finalized. Tony Khan offered a lot of money, and I guess HHH was just like, whatever, dude. I mean, we're not willing to, we're not giving you no Alex Rodriguez deal here, man. We're not giving you Garrett Cole money. Because they know, I mean, they're only planning on taking him so far. So that's the big story there. No longer WWE bound. He is AEW bound now. Tony Khan has a big announcement next Wednesday. Another one of those. You know how those go. For anybody that's still interested in big announcements from Tony Khan. From TK to HHH. I think we're all just tired out from big announcements that are never usually big, right? Now both are just playing the boy that cried wolf. Big announcement, and it's something that should just be in a press release. It could be the announcement of Okada. Supposedly, he's got a few dates left, a few matches he still has to commit to, or that he is committed to. But his actual contract is over. End of January. So, and of course, it's February now. So, even though the contract is up, he still is committed to a few matches. So, I don't know how that all works. But because the contract is technically up, I guess Tony Khan could announce that. Some people think it's Sasha Banks, the announcement of Sasha Banks. I would never. That's too much of a surprise. I would build up like this mystery surprise, right? I would build that up to get viewers for sure. And then I would have it be Sasha. I don't know if I would just announce Sasha. They've done that in the past several times, and it has... you'll see like a little bump in the rating, or sometimes a bigger bump, and then it immediately just goes back down. You got to really plan that out. But that's more of like a surprise. Music hits, money shows up on the big Tron. But this could be Okada for sure. We'll see, man. For sure. Big announcement by Tony Khan. You had to know it was coming, man. He hasn't hit the million viewership in a very long time. So he had to, you got to break out the big announcement. And, how about this one, man? The next group of NXT Callups continues to put their feet in the water, right? They're dabbling onto the main roster slowly but surely. This Friday, confirmed, Braun Breaker, Trick Williams, and Carmelo Hayes all will be on SmackDown, or at least the taping. Most likely dark matches. Actually, Melo, with the reaction that Trick got, was it last week? I wouldn't doubt he would be on the main show, too. Well, whether it's dark show or main show, those three will be at the taping tomorrow night for SmackDown. Braun Breaker, Trick Williams, and Carmelo Hayes. So, a little bit of news there. And there's word going around that Tiffany Stratton was they were suits and ties glowing over Tiffany Stratton at the Rumble. To which I would say, well, where have you been? Do these suit and ties not watch anything to do with NXT? That's what she does, man. She's one of the best. But we're hearing there's rumblings that they could bring her over to Monday Night Raw on Monday. I doubt that would be for the main show if this ends up being true. I would think that's just a dark match. But that would be telling. That would be huge. I don't think HBK wants to lose Tiffany Stratton right now. Same thing. We're hearing a big reason Braun Breaker hasn't been called up. We're hearing reports that Shawn Michaels just doesn't want to lose Braun. And Michaels himself has been trying to delay the process. I really hope that's not the case. I mean, I believe that the reports are very reputable, so it's a true story. I just hope that Michaels isn't the sole reason, right? I mean, man... Because this dude should have been called up a long time ago, Braun Breaker, and now he's in a comedy tag team with Baron Corbin. While at times it may make you chuckle, that is not how you book Braun Breaker, bro. He should not be in a Daniel Bryan Kane type relationship tag team. Where they're such polar opposites. They work so well together. WWE loves to do that, right? The polar opposite tag team. Oh, man. They do it all the time with the ladies, right? But they do it a lot with the men, too. The most notable in recent years was Daniel Bryan and Kane. But, they got teams like Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, for instance. So odd, man. But Braun still continues to dabble on SmackDown in dark matches. He'll be doing it again tomorrow night. So we'll see. And we'll see what they're going to do with Tiffany Stratton, man. That'll be really cool. I think she's been ready. She has said in the past she doesn't want to go main roster yet. She still wants to keep learning. But I got to tell you, kid, you're ready to go now. Sometimes when you're just more brilliant than others, you got to graduate. You're taking up a spot at that point. Speaking of taking up a spot, man, this has to be talked about. So, speaking of NXT and taking up a spot, right? Well, two birds with one stone here. There was a lot of talk, still is recently, about Simone Johnson, Ava Raine getting this NXT general manager position, right? It's a storyline position. No harm, no foul. They want her to... I don't know what they really want. It's obvious they're not seeing what they want wrestling-wise from her. So they're going to try to, really give her a lot of monologues and see if she can work a lot of stories verbally. I don't see how that's her best... the best spotlight to be placed on her to be in that position either. I don't know what they're thinking, giving her this much monologue in these many backstage segments, putting her at the Rumble, putting her on SmackDown last week. She has gotten a rocket, not just being the youngest general manager in company history, but she is showing up at the Rumble. She's on SmackDown. She's got all these segments. A lot of people are claiming nepotism, right? Because it's The Rock, Dwayne Johnson's daughter. She's 22 years old, something like that. 22, what did we say? 22, 23. She obviously doesn't have the most talent above all the other females in NXT. That's obvious, right? If you just watch, you know that. So why is she getting this type of a rocket? And on all the shows and in all these segments, guys, obviously it's The Rock. That we know that. Now, yes, you could absolutely yell nepotism and you don't think it's right. Other females that are better could be utilized in that position and help not just themselves, but the company because they're just better. Better at speaking, better at putting a storyline on their back, better in the ring. To which I can't argue that. You would be correct. I can see the other side of the coin when people say, you knew that was the only way this was going to play out. It is The Rock, one of, if not the biggest Hollywood icon right now, who literally everybody adores, plays it right down the middle, truly the people's everything, right? He's Dwayne Johnson. John Cena recently said on Impulsive with Logan Paul, he said he's in another stratosphere. And Cena's in Hollywood. Cena's done some pretty big productions. And he's like, this dude, just the way he's talked about in our industry, Hollywood, he's in a whole nother stratosphere. If you thought for 1 second that Simone Johnson wasn't going to get a rocket, you have not been paying attention to just how big The Rock is. You don't have to like it. I hear you. But it was going to happen. The problem is, she's not ready for this. It's unfortunate. But there's no way she is ready for this. To put her in all of these segments with all of this monologue, she's trying, man. But it's rough. And to just throw her in there, it's not helping the company. It's not helping the audience that's trying to believe these segments. That's where the problem arises. If she just had all this talent like The Rock has, throw her in there. Screw it. I understand. She leapfrogged everybody else. But hey, such is, right? It's The Rock's daughter, dude. And she's damn talented. That's just not the case. And that's why you're starting to see a lot more talk in the wrestling world about nepotism and if this is the right thing. Should this even be a thing? Just because you're related to The Rock should not mean you automatically get a job, basically for life, and you're handed everything. But my focus isn't even Simone Johnson, right? They're going to see. It's going to be sink or swim for Simone, and I really hope she swims. Gets to the other side, gets to landfall, swims back the other way, keeps swimming. I hope the best for her. The bigger issue I have is people like Tamina Snuka taking a roster spot when she's just sitting at home. Nobody talks about that, right? The cousin of The Rock. The Rock just bought her a nice, big house recently, too. Great for her. Great for them. La Familia, help out your cousins. I don't know how many cousins I'm buying a home for. I can assure you of that. I'll buy him a coffee machine. That's about it. But The Rock is very close to Tamina Snuka. So you take somebody like Tamina, though, when you only have 35 females on the main roster of all the thousands and thousands of female wrestlers on the planet, because there are thousands and thousands of female wrestlers trying to reach the big time, trying for one of those 35 spots on the main roster. 35, 21 females that wrestle on Raw and 14 that wrestle on SmackDown. And one of those 14 on SmackDown is Tamina Snuka. She's still there, guys. She's on the roster page. You can look it up yourself. I've done my research for you. She's been on it. Nearly 15 years she's been with this company. She is 46 years old. Frowned upon in this company, guys. Frowned upon. How dare you're in your 40s, right? It was a big deal when Asuka hit 40 years old. They were like, oh boy, what do we do? This is Asuka. You got to question it? Mickie James becomes a mother in her 40s now. And they fire Mickie James, one of the best female wrestlers on the planet. People like Sasha Banks and Naomi have to walk out because they don't even feel they're getting their just due. But Tamina Snuka has a job for life. Do you realize she's wrestled 50 times in 2 years? 49 of those were 2 years ago. Last year, she wrestled one time, and that was a loss against Munchkin, Mia Yim. Mia Yim, that was February 2023 was her last match, one-on-one. February of 2023, a year ago. It was Main Event, not even a Raw or a SmackDown, a show called Main Event. Maybe you can get it on the interweb machine, I guess. And Mia Yim defeated her, and that was the last time you saw her, right? And you get this round of cuts, right? Talent is being fired. Fired. And Tamina Snuka stays. 46 years old. Doesn't wrestle. Again, even the year before, only had 49 combined matches, most of those main event. She's lost 41 out of the 50, actually. She has an 82% losing record. She loses 82% of her matches. Is above the age cutoff that WWE likes. They cannot stand when somebody's in their 40s. It's a big reason why LA Knight wasn't immediately pushed. He's in his 40s. 15 years with this company. And she was supposedly retired was the word, right? She doesn't even want to do this anymore. Nia Jax said it herself. This was an interview she cut November of last year, I believe this was. Nia Jax says this about her cousin. It's funny because with the previous Rumble, I was not going to come back. I was asked to come back and I said, absolutely not. Oh no, we'll have to beg Nia Jax to come back. Nia Jax's heart was never in this. At least she admits it. But she says, I talked to my cousin Tamina and she said that this may be her last one, her last Rumble ever. So I said, if that's going to be Tamina's last Rumble, I am going to be a part of it. And Jax said, I'm back. So Tamina was already telling all the girls that this is probably going to be it for me. I'm done. And everybody started speculating about retirement. But she's still on the active roster. She's still getting those paychecks. She's still taking up a roster spot. Why? If you're retired or your heart's not in it or you just don't want to do this, don't do it. But remove yourself from the situation, right? The company should be removing Tamina so that somebody can get into that spot that's going to captivate us. Because in the 15-year career of Tamina, she didn't captivate most. Good fan base, captivated some. A lot of us said, oh, here comes Tamina. So the question is, when you start to see all of this, right, of all the people that get fired, released, and then come back, she gets rehired, Nia Jax, who's injured 8,000 individuals, who has told you time and time again she's just not into this as much as other female wrestlers are. right? She tells you this. She just said it again. There's no way I'm coming back. Oh, but if my cousin's gonna, then I'll enter the Rumble. Doesn't want to be there anyway. Injures people left and right. We're bringing her back, though. We're going to bring back Nia. Get Nia back. Tamina, yeah. Oh, is she retired? I'm not even going to ask a question. You know what? Keep her on the roster. And then you see Simone, Ava Raine, at 22, 23, whatever she is, get a general manager position. AJ Lee was already primed when she was the youngest GM in WWE history at 25 years old to GM Raw. She was already really good on the mic. She had that confidence, that self-esteem. She had that discipline. She could carry many storylines at once, and she did. Ava Raine is far from that. So when you see Nia Jax finally get fired, when you never want to see somebody get fired, but if anybody is going to get fired from a position because they're just not good at it and they're actually becoming a detriment to others, Nia would be the prime candidate to be such. And they bring her back. They keep Tamina Snuka even though she's basically retired, if not actually retired. They keep her, and then they skyrocket Simone in her first year in NXT to SmackDown, to the Rumble. All this monologue, all of it. Yeah, you can kind of see why some fans would go, all right, can we pump the brakes a little bit on the Rock's family? We understand, but this is a little, some of these spots, 35 females in the whole world get a chance to be on the WWE main roster. Tamina Snuka and Nia Jax is the best they can produce? So the point is, Simone Johnson, Ava Raine, is kind of the least of what BC's looking at when I think nepotism or how do people have a job just because they're connected to The Rock. I'm looking at Nia still. I'm looking at Tamina, and I'm thinking, how are they still on this roster? But because Ava Raine, Simone Johnson comes out of nowhere and gets skyrocketed as fast, that becomes the conversation. Now you start to hear nepotism. And then people start going, oh yeah, wait, Nia's the cousin too. That could be why this is happening. And that's, oh yeah, what about Tamina? She is still on the roster, isn't she? Yeah, she is. And then people start connecting the dots. Wait a second. This is a little ridiculous. Uso's really good. My favorite tag team in the business. We get it. But you gotta believe that even if they were half as good, they probably have jobs for life. Roman Reigns. I love the run he's been on since he's been a heel. Should have lost the title a year ago, but that's another story. A story that might be finished in April. It might be. But as much as I like his heel run, I like Roman. He's good and even great at times for what he does. Nowhere near the best. We know that. But the company, they're about to have this dude take Hulk Hogan's record and put him up there with Bruno Sammartino. It wasn't just because Roman had the look or he was some elaborate speaker on the mic. No, John Cena and many others have called his mic work out in the past. It's gotten so much better. But they've called that out in the past when he was already being positioned as the guy. And on the mic, he just wasn't. His skills, average to good. But the company already decided to push this guy past the moon, through the moon. All they needed to know, he's got a good look, and that was The Rock's cousin. But at what point is it just too much, man? At what point are we going to go, all right, we understand you have a connection to The Rock. That doesn't mean you got a job for life, bro. There's people that are just better than you, or you just shouldn't be in that position. Sorry, not sorry. Deuces, ooses. A lot of people have an issue with Roman Reigns to this day being in that spot for this long. I can't argue with them. I don't mind it. Should have dropped the title a year ago, though, but I don't mind that. A lot more people have a problem with Ava Raine being in this position because it's just not, it doesn't work. She's not even believable. It's rough for her to get through it. It's tough to watch. But it goes deeper than all that, man. The Nia Jaxes, the Tamina Snukas. I mean, these are valuable spots on the roster. How many times have we seen Nia Jax do what she's doing right now, right? Throw a bunch of people over the top of the Rumble. Sit on people. We've seen it for years. Has the crowd ever grasped it? Been captivated by it? Never. Never. Just doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. That's the definition of insanity, and that's what they're doing with Nia yet again. And they're hoping that all of this squashing and once again being pumped up to be a beast will pump her up to a point where people will care about Jade Cargill defeating her at WrestleMania. Well, at the Royal Rumble, they love seeing Cargill throw her over the top rope. You're going to try to recreate that at WrestleMania. That means we got 2 months of Nia Jax once again going through everybody on the main roster. How is that helping anybody? Just so Jade Cargill can bicycle kick her and slam her for the 1, 2, 3. Meanwhile, the rest of the roster, they're still looking up at the lights from the time they got squashed. I don't know. It's an interesting conversation, man. A lot of people are starting to get fed up with the job for life because you're connected to the Rock scenario, the nepotism. It's getting to the point where you can no longer ignore it. I never like having those conversations because I know it's The Rock. What do you expect? But lately, it's getting a little left field with a hockey stick. We have to reel this situation back in now. And if you got to have a talk with The Rock, we love you, brother, but we cannot hire the entire family and have them on the payroll for life. You just can't do it, man. Moving on. You could probably speak an hour on that topic, but Vincent Kennedy, man. Netflix's chief of content, Bella Baraja, responded to concern over VKM and the current litigation and the dark cloud hanging over WWE. And the Netflix chief of content, Bella Bajara, responded, and I quote, "He's gone. So he's not there anymore. He's gone." So he tried to quickly just kind of brush that away, but he definitively declared he's gone. So he's not there anymore. Just to get this straight, he's gone. In other words, move on. We don't even deal with him anymore. That's massive, guys. Netflix totally dismissing this dude. Endeavor, in their statement, dismissed Vince McMahon. He oversees nothing, has nothing to do with WWE, UFC, TKO, Endeavor. Vince McMahon, they literally just blacklisted this dude. Netflix is telling you he's gone. Not even want to talk about this guy. He's not here anymore. He's gone. Slim Jim suspended their mega deal with the Rumble and beyond with WWE. Suspended it instantly until they heard word that Vince McMahon was no longer with WWE. And then they reinstated their deal just as instantly. But they completely suspended this mega deal until they knew for sure that McMahon was out. Guys, this is massive damage control. And I'm not talking about Bayley and her stable. This is damage control by Endeavor. And they have no choice, whether they like it or not, but to erase Vincent Kennedy McMahon. And that's what's being done. You talk about his profile or this or that being erased from WWE.com. That's just the beginning of it. You can't even mention this dude. He has been erased from the very creation that he built brick by brick. His father got the location. His father got the nice setup. But those bricks, that was Vince McMahon that created the WWE that you see today. And he's erased. And they can't even bring him back. They can't mention this dude. They'll lose so many mega deals, a lot of deals that Vince McMahon himself helped broker and made. Those deals are the same deals that are hindering Vince McMahon from even being talked about. Wild, right? Netflix finally responds. A top executive, chief of content, Bella Barjara, and he says he's gone. He's not here anymore. Just for full transparency, he's not here anymore. He's gone. He doubled down on the he's gone twice. So why are we even talking about that? Basically, everybody saying the same thing, distancing themselves. This is the first time that's happened. McMahon's been in trouble for a lot of years now. Nobody has done this type of distancing or this type of erasing. This is big. Wow, man. That's wild. All right, we'll talk some WrestleMania now. This is unfortunate, and I can't even believe we're having this discussion because just a few weeks ago, WrestleMania, it was feeling like it was starting to anyway because you started to think about the matches, right? All right, Punk and Seth on one of the nights. Rock and Roman or everybody else can get their stupid little Cody versus Roman Part 2. So the story that should have been finished last year, these people can finally get their rocks off and finish it this year because they didn't want it finished last year. It's another story. But either way, all right, we're going to have the two main events will be set up. Bayley and Io, they're going to set this up, and then Bayley will win the Rumble. And because she was being treated so poorly by Damage Control, that's going to set up that rift. Instead, even that they screwed up. This past Monday, Damage Control is more cohesive than ever before, and Bayley's still teasing a Rhea Ripley match. And Paul Levesque McMahon thinks that's fun, right? We'll swerve them. Keep mentioning Rhea, and then at the last second, we'll say you're taking on Io. How is that a fun storyline? Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. As much as a lot of us don't need to or want to see that match again for the second year in a row, just to see what should have been done last year happen, which, by the way, it's not even saying it will, because more than likely they want Roman to go after Hulk Hogan's record, so Cody will be looking up at the lights again, possibly next to several rubber chickens. But Levesque McMahon, whether Punk got injured or not, the decision was made. I don't care if this was last second because Punk got injured. The decision was made to have Seth Rollins do a 4-minute promo about how Cody should go after his championship. And at the end of that 4 minutes, Cody Rhodes goes, Seth, I'm going to think about it. Seth Rollins has Cody Rhodes questioning his own story. Because why? BC, he's going to go for Roman's championship. I mean, this is just a little swerve. Who wins with this swerve? Who wins? How is this a good thing? Cody Rhodes, the entire time, should have been thinking about this moment, getting back to this moment, to that opponent, on that stage for that title. That's what this whole last year was about, right? That's what everybody that's struggling adversity, he can't win it yet. He's got to wait another year. It's not time yet. That's what everybody said. Now, after one promo, half the wrestling world is like, well, Seth is right, though, man. It is a Hollywood title, and this is the workhorse. It's the Dusty title. Seth makes a lot of good points. Of course he does. It's everything the fans have been saying. Of course he makes good points. It doesn't get away from the fact that we waited a year, 2 months before Mania, and Cody isn't even sure he wants to go for that title because of one 4-minute promo. But Bubba was one of those people from the jump. Bubba Ray, who said Cody shouldn't win it yet. He needs struggle and adversity. Remember that? Do you know what Bubba's saying now? Bubba's saying, well, I mean, I think he should go for Seth's title. Seth makes a lot of sense. How do you just, this is why wrestling cannot really wrestling can't be as great as it should be. Too many fans are wish-washy. Too many fans are contradicting their own words and their own beliefs. You say one thing and a month later it's the new flavor of the month idea. Now all of a sudden he should be taking on Seth. What are you talking about? We already saw that match several times. The whole point was to... I can't even believe we're having this discussion. Now you have half the wrestling world no longer on board with Cody versus Roman. You already had a ton of us that were not on board with it because it should have happened last year, and that's it. Be done with it. A lot of us want to see Rock and Roman. It's just a bigger match to us. But now you absolutely have at least half the wrestling world at odds. It's got to be Seth and Cody. No, we're good with Roman and Cody. How is this going to help the main event? Paul Levesque McMahon, the word around the campfire is that Levesque McMahon is overwhelmed. I say that's an understatement. I don't know what he's thinking. Io versus Bayley is the match. It's the whole reason you would have Bayley win the Rumble and Io keep the title into Mania. Because a few months ago, they were starting to plant seeds of some turmoil within Damage Control. And then the last several weeks, they're a cohesive unit. A sisterly bond that's untouched. In fact, Bayley's already talking every interview. This past Monday, it's going to be Rhea. And then at the last second, what? There's going to be automatic dissension to another rank to the point where she's going to say, I'm taking on Io. And then that's how the tension arises? You could have done this so much better. Damage Control literally turns on Bayley. You make Bayley the ultimate hero. We have to see Bayley not just overcome every single member of Damage Control because she is greatly outnumbered, but finally on the grandest stage, she hoists up that championship, and she did it greatly outnumbered. The world against her, basically. In legit Damage Control for 2 straight months. Instead, no, they're all sisters. We're going to go for Rhea. And then the last second, oh, sorry, Io, I had to pick you. Nia scared me into it. Or whatever's going to happen tomorrow night on Friday night when she picks her opponent. You should have been doing Io and Bayley way better than this BS. Cody versus Roman. You know, a big reason why Bubba now no longer thinks it should be Roman and Cody, but Seth and Cody. You know why? Because he said this whole year, Cody and Roman didn't do anything. Who told you that was going to happen? BC, a year ago. And sure enough, they never crossed paths. I think at the end of last year, maybe, or the middle of last year. I think one time they were on the same show together, and it was greatly interrupted by other individuals, and it went south. And that was it. They crossed paths like one time. Cody looked like he didn't even want to be there. Other than that, they just didn't cross paths. Cody wasn't talking about this story after a while. Finish my story became a meme for everybody else. Every other wrestler started talking about finishing their story. CM Punk used it when he came back. I'm not here to finish any stupid story. I'm here to keep going with mine. Or begin the new chapter, whatever CM Punk said. It got to the point where Cody Rhodes, he would tell you in interviews, it's gotten obnoxious now. Everybody's talking about their damn story. Even Cody Rhodes doesn't want to talk about it. I told you this was going to happen. Now the same people that said he's got to lose at Mania, Roman's got to keep it, will long-term story tell it, and we'll do it again next year. Now they're saying, oh, wait a second. There was never a story. The whole story is just he's got to finish his story. Other than that, Cody Rhodes he hasn't done anything. Bubba's talking about we haven't had that Rocky and Adrian moment, right? From Rocky. Where he eats, sleeps, and everything he thinks is getting that championship. He's got to get back to that stage, that moment against that opponent for that title. He hasn't had that. So in other words, Bubba's telling you, it's not even fun, Roman versus Cody. I'm glad he's admitting that, because there's a lot of fans that claimed he needed more struggle and adversity, and they're still doubling down to this day. We have to see that match still. We have to see him finish the story. At least Bubba's taken the L. I commend that. But I condemn that type of contradiction. If we just think smarter in advance, we wouldn't come across these situations. That's why Cody had to get that title last year. And now here we are, when everybody for an entire year said, don't worry, it's going to be a lot of fun when we do part 2. The story's going to be even better because we waited. Is it better for you? Did you see enough struggle and adversity, 70 matches with Judgment Day throughout the entire year? Did that make you look at Cody differently? 3 matches with Brock for no reason? And now, 2 months before WrestleMania, after winning the Rumble, Cody has to think about it. He's got to think about it. He doesn't know if he wants to take on Roman. Wouldn't you think after this year and the way you lost, there isn't a situation, a human being, there is not a circumstance, there is nothing that will prevent you from declaring Roman Reigns the opponent at WrestleMania and that title on the line. Wouldn't you think that? Wouldn't that be the whole story? No. We just muddied the waters to the point where now you alienated even fans that were on board with Cody Roman Part 2. Now they're like, well, I think Seth's got a point. I think we should do Seth and Cody. And then other fans are like, no. It's just a little swerve. He's going to pick Roman, guys. Okay. You're okay with that? That's the story right now, 2 months before Mania? I don't know which title I want to go for? That's good with anybody else that won the Rumble. Cody's whole purpose was supposed to be Roman in that title. You've got to be kidding me if you're okay with that. I don't need to see either. You know why? Because I've already seen these matches. I've seen Cody and Roman. I've seen Cody and Sethington. You know what I haven't seen? Rock and Roman. Just book it for me. Thank you. Let's just stop the BS. Rock, Roman. I don't care if there's a title on the line. Book it. Because I am tired of playing around with fans that don't have a clue about how business works and contradict their own beliefs of how things should be going. I am tired of doing it everybody else's way when BC is right all along. I knew a year ago it wasn't going to be fun, part 2. Because I knew WWE wasn't going to know what to do. Because I knew Paul Levesque McMahon was not committed to Cody versus Roman. To this day, he's not committed to Cody and Roman. It's why you're seeing this stalling tactic. Rhea Ripley and Bayley's being teased. WrestleMania? Rhea and Bayley? Makes no sense. 2 heels. It's obvious it's Bayley and Io. Bayley going in as a face. Because if you did it correctly, and if you did it long ago, so we have long-term storytelling, Bayley and Io would be phenomenal before they even step foot in that ring. But instead, time is ticking through the hourglass, and they're in a sisterly bond like never before. Such a weird way to get to Io and Bayley. But it's deeper than that. From what we're hearing, why it's called WrestleMania. And by the way, that's not a word that PC just made up. I don't even know if I informed you guys on this. The word is derived from the actual talk within the walls of WWE. Like, people are in that company are calling it WrestleMania because nobody knows what they're doing. The undercard, nobody knows. Champions haven't a clue. Number 1 contenders don't yet know they're number 1 contenders. Everything is up in the air. That's why I say this is worse than just a few injuries that changed the card. This is the complete undercards. We're not even mapped out. 7 to 8 matches both nights. Nothing is confirmed. Mania's in 2 months. It's February. Pretty sure Mania is the beginning of April. 2 months you have. 2 months. 8 weeks of television. Nobody has a clue what's going on. And the word going around backstage is that Paul Levesque McMahon is overwhelmed. That's an exact quote. I say again, that is an understatement. He needs help right now. I wouldn't doubt that he's on the phone with his father-in-law. Truthfully. And I don't know if that's any better, but at least he would be a big component of saying, just do the Rock and Roman. Just do the Rock and Roman. But you got to get the Rock. Rock keeps talking about this long plan. He's a long game planner, right? That's why you saw Cena and Rock announced for a year later. That was so stupid. By the time we got to it, nobody cared that it was announced a year later. You could have announced this 4 weeks earlier. What are you doing? It's Philadelphia. It's an anniversary, 40 years of WrestleMania. We don't have a real main event. We don't. We have Seth and Cody being teased, which we saw 3 or 4 times before, one of the two. And we have fucking Roman and Cody, which was the exact main event from last year. The only difference now is maybe somebody's going to finish a story. A story that he doesn't even know if he wants to finish, by the way. He doesn't even know the story. He doesn't know which title's in the story. He's probably trying to fucking sleep extra every single night so he can have the dream and see what the story is what story is popping up, right? Well, come on, I want to dream about the story. Which title is in my dream? Cody Rhodes doesn't know what title he wants. That's not a problem to you? That was the purpose of the whole year. At least that's what I was told. At this point, only The Rock finally declaring that he is going to Mania against Roman. I don't care if there's a title on the line. At this point, that's the only thing that can save Mania. Because did you guys see Monday Night Raw? I cut a review on it. Over an hour long, almost an hour and a half. I don't know if you guys saw Monday Night Raw, you just listened to BC's review, but there was no WrestleMania implications at all. It did not feel like WrestleMania season. We started the show, unfortunately, CM Punk and talking about his injury, and then Drew McIntyre starts the show. He knocks out Punk, but like McIntyre shouldn't be a big part of Mania, right? You give him a big match for the mid-card, but you got to still work his way up with this new heel character, which I'm loving, by the way. And then he ends the show. He just beat Sami Zayn, and literally Michael Cole is like, good night, everybody, see you next week. Where's the cliffhanger? Where's the big story? Where's the WrestleMania sell? And then some people are like, well, you know what? Cody will end up picking Roman. And then what they'll do is you should just easy peasy lemon squeezy. Just have Drew McIntyre go for Seth's title. There you go, BC. I figured it out. Do you even, I mean, you're the exact type of fan that Vince and HHH, WWE loves because you just forget everything and you don't want to remember it. Drew McIntyre just faced Sethington a couple of times. One was at a PLE, wasn't it? Like Crown Jewel or whatever. Or one of those events. And then the other one was like day one, Monday, like a big Monday Night Raw, almost like a PLE. But at least 2 times that I can remember just recently, within the last few months, Drew McIntyre faced Sethington Rollins in big high stakes matches for the championship. Why would I need to see that at Mania? Like, that's what I mean. Some of these fans are not even thinking, and then they say it like it's fact, and then they're befuddled when people like BC call out the logic and common sense. Drew McIntyre should be the WrestleMania opponent for Seth? So I just saw a WrestleMania match, possible main event, Drew versus Seth. I just saw that at Monday Night Raw day 1. I saw that on a freaking Crown Jewel. I saw the build. I saw the promos they had against them. And that's the best you got for Mania? I don't care how many injuries there. You have to get creative. Somebody gets injured, next man up, and you rock it out. Happens in football, any sport. Wrestling's the same. Somebody goes down, creatively, you have something in its place. And the next wrestler that is in that place rocks it to another stratosphere. The fact that this company is this lost and the injuries just exposed it. That's what happened here. The injuries and the removal of people like Brock. That just exposed how ill-prepared this company was for Mania when a lot of this was sitting in their lap. Monday night showed us something big They're not prepared for this Mania season. They're not at all. There's no expectation for tomorrow's SmackDown to really get me excited about Mania, but I'm going to be watching with a keenful eye, I assure you. And my notes will tell that story. The review of SmackDown, man, you want brutal honesty on this. You're going to get it to the most amplified of measurements. Monday Night Raw was not worthy of a WrestleMania season show. SmackDown cannot make the same mistake. There's no fun builds, not even Cody and Roman. And you had a year to do this. Cody and Roman is not even fun for most of us. You have no match right now that's fun. None. Unreal. I love that word that's going around inside the WWE locker rooms, man. WrestleMania is what the talent is calling it. I can't say... Those individuals inside those, I don't know if it's talent or executives. I didn't get those details. The way it was presented to me was that people in WWE are calling it WrestleMania, not WrestleMania. So I had to laugh. But it didn't say talent or execs, so I shouldn't really pinpoint it as to... Maybe it's all of them. Maybe it's the execs, the suit and ties, to the talent. Maybe everybody's calling it WrestleMania. You know what? So is BC. Sadly. WrestleMania, because this is a mess, and I knew Paul Levesque McMahon was going to be in over his head, and then you have the Vince McMahon things, you have the injuries, and now this dude is pretty much sinking. Somebody's got to throw this dude the life preserver, send in a boat, I don't know, one of the Vikings, Ivar, send your pirate ship, Viking ship, pick up Paul Levesque McMahon, dry him off, put some blow dryers on this dude, and help him out. Help this dude. Put a little, those donuts that you put around the kids so they can float on the water. Give him some donuts and some ducky floats before he goes back in the water. Because HHH needs a lot of help. The dude is sinking. And he's caught a lot of bad breaks lately. I get it. But you got to do better than this. You got to turn WrestleMania into WrestleMania somehow. Good luck. I really hope you do. Because we all want to be excited for this 40th WrestleMania in Philly. This ain't it, bro. This ain't it at all. Top guys were out. BC saying check you. Until next time. And there will be that next time. Go on. Come on. Super Bowl Sunday next time. Who you got? Chiefs or 49ers? I got the Packers. And that's a problem. They're not in it. Go on.